All right, welcome, Austin Rugby fans, Gilgroniacs worldwide, the millions and millions of you that listen to the podcast. I am Dustin Zerrer. That's Alex Rees. Man, another great week for AG Rugby. Man, it's just another great week for rugby in Austin, period, right? Like,
oh, yeah.
Man, we went to NOLA. We had everybody and their brother was predicting NOLA to – there were some score predictions that people said they were going to trounce us by 20, by 17, by 18. Please, if you listen to the podcast, you know Alex Rees and I, we always have pretty – well, if I say always, we're 1 for 3 on our predictions ish or so, one or two of our predictions. But, man – we went down to NOLA, pulled out a resounding victory, 18-15 to the AGs. Alex, man, what was it? You know, where were you watching the match from? And what were your kind of thoughts, man? Let's dive right into it.
I was actually up in Dallas with the Austin Valkyries, helping coach while they were just mopping up the whole tournament. They ended up winning every game, and it was like 29 tries, and then they gave up 1 try on the final play of the tournament. So it was pretty good.
Dare they? Come on, Val. Yeah. Let's get with it, man.
But yeah, they dominated, and I was out there just kind of trying to watch it on my phone from the sidelines, and then was able to actually sit down and watch it in its entirety the next day. But I knew what had happened and kind of kept updated with the score as it happened.
It was all over social media, that's for sure. You know, if you didn't watch the match, you know, for the vast majority of the match, you really didn't miss much.
Right.
We'll be honest, it was a bit ugly, but an ugly win is still a win nonetheless. So we'll take that when we can get it. You know, so the AGs.
We've had enough ugly
losses.
We've had enough pretty losses.
Yeah.
You know, good-looking losses that it feels good to get an
ugly win. Well, I'll tell you what, and this is kind of one of the big things that I've touched upon with others, is that throughout the entire season, right, Austin has been so close, and we have kind of even into 2019. You talk about the number of games that we lost in 2020. You know, for the shortened season, the games that we lost, minus kind of like Toronto at home and the San Diego matches in 2019, they were all super close matches, and we're always just on the cusp of, you know, 7 points, 5 points, 3 points. I mean, 1 point. I mean, come on,
right.
It's just always something. So I can tell you that to come out with a win when it's a close match, and to actually come from behind when we had given up the lead, you know, we had the lead for 65 minutes of the match until actually for 75 minutes of the match, 74 minutes of the match, until they scored, you know, their second try. And we're sitting there going, okay, well, man, we just gave it up again. Can we go back down and actually win the close one? And we did. So diving right into it, you know, obviously the game started off, you know, really well for us. 6 minutes in, a knock on and a very just kind of strange play overall from NOLA, which was kind of the running theme of the day for NOLA. They just couldn't get anything together. Get into that in a minute, but you know, Mac Mason picked up the ball and just took off, and all of NOLA's players just stood still. Like nothing was going on. They stood still. He took off for probably about 55 meters, had one defender to beat, and tossed it off to Pele Cali, who, you know, tapped it down for the try. And then, of course, you know, Mac had the conversion on that one. So that was, you know, a great start to the match. I mean, really a dream start to the match. You couldn't have asked for anything better that way. And then to go in and then have another penalty goal, have 2 more penalty goals. Which, you know, put it, you know, you're sitting there at halftime going, all right, 10-3 at half. Yeah. 10-3 at halftime. And then it was 13-3. And you're going, okay, like, man, this is happening. Like we're playing well. I think it was, for the first half for me, everybody kind of attributes like NOLA had just kept knocking the ball on. You can't neglect and disregard Austin's like massive defensive push. Like our defense is solid. And the fact of the matter was we were at the gain line every single time, and we were pushing them back 2 to 3 meters as we have been all season. So that's my thought. Yours?
Well, I think that you and I have discussed a number of times. Like, I think we've had quite a few injuries just throughout the season, and of course, every team picks up injuries. But I think like one of the key aspects of professional rugby, especially when you don't have as deep of teams as like a Leinster or Crusaders, I think a really important thing is to be able to adapt and evolve as injuries happen.
Yeah.
And I think that we're doing a really nice job of leaning into the things that we can be good at with the number of injuries we have, which is we still have a lot of guys that can kick the ball from hand, and we do well with our territorial kicking. Well, we haven't lost that. And we've had an opportunity to put guys in that are real tackling machines, like a Don Bailey, for instance. I think that
he's been all over the pitch.
And
wasn't a game one starter. I mean, we were out for a while out. Don McKenna and Mo Abdominan's still out with injury too.
Neither was Michael de Waal, and heck, even Jake Turnbull hadn't started yet this year. But he
put in the work though. In the 18 minutes he was getting in, the one match he had like 68 meters in 16 minutes.
I mean, yeah, we're getting a lot of what's the word? Like we're maximizing what we have right now, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. Like there's still a lot of room for us to improve. I think with maybe just our continuity and our just our chemistry, I guess, linking up more than one-off rugby.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're leaning into our defense and our territorial kicking game really well. And in the last 3 weeks, we've given up 14 plus 15 points, so 29 points in the last 3 games. That's pretty good turnaround from that week 1 where we gave up 30. And I think that commitment on the defensive side of the ball is what's gonna keep us winning games throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that attacking, that defense that we talked about is really, I want to say for the most part, is dictating the style of the play for our opponents, right? Like San Diego, because of that pressure defense, they did not play the normal San Diego style play. Yeah, I know San Diego's been out with whatever, but we shut down Joe Peterson for the most part. We shut down Sam Wuching. They didn't really get good breakaway ball. Same with Houston. Houston couldn't get anything going. And those who were like, oh well, Houston is just not a great team. Look at what they did last week to San Diego. like they went out and they put points up on San Diego. But going into the match, NOLA, I mean, you have one of the most, one of the top attacking offenses in Major League Rugby, and almost blanked them in the first half. Like that would have been like we've given up. Here's fun stat for you. In the first half of every single of the past 3 matches, we've given up 3 points. Like that is a hell of a stat. It doesn't say anything about strong defense. I don't know what does. Granted, in second half we tend to give up more points, which happens. But we've given up those 3 points, this past week into NOLA, which really kind of, was a last minute consolation points for a bad penalty call. Anyway, the match itself, obviously, for the most part, you look at the stats. NOLA kind of dominated possession. Like they had the ball 54% of the time. They had 18 and a half attacking minutes. Austin only about 15 minutes of attacking. And when we had the ball and we were attacking, it wasn't, man, I still think that you're right. Like the linking up, like the injuries and what it may be and the constant changes in the back line. it's still quite not clicking. We're not getting multiple phases. There's very few times where I think we go over 7-8 phases before something happens. And I don't think that we're getting the ball out wide like we need to be. And it shows, right? Like Connor Mooneyham, 107 meters carried. Like he was just, when he got the ball, there was 2 times that he got the ball and just made people look silly, like just made them miss. Same with Roderick Waters. Like when both of those get a chance to get hands on the ball, there's an explosiveness that happens. And Connor and Rod are 2 completely different styles of wings, right? Connor's going to a little more elusive. He's going to juke and jive, and Rod's going to run people over, and he's going to go looking for contact. So I think those are, that's kind of been a thing for us. That we, as you said, we don't really have that right now. The linkage isn't really happening, in that back line. Granted, we're getting a lot of ball in the forwards and some good crash ball, and every now and then we get a good breakaway. But again, we shot ourselves in the foot a few times inside the attacking 22 and continued to say, well, crap, like we could have taken maybe some more points, but lost the ball as, a knock on a few meters away. Like right at the end of the half, I'll call this one out, because right at the end of the half, we were pretty much on the front door. Like, we were on the 2-meter line, and the ball kind of was in the back of the ruck, and a NOLA player kicked the ball back into an Austin player, which is illegal. That you cannot do in rugby, by the way. Inside the ruck, you cannot kick the ball, and the ref completely missed it. So that was a bit disappointing. I thought we were attacking. We had numbers. We were punishing them. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox on the ref, and I may talk about one more thing that the ref missed, kind of, sort of, but we'll talk about that later. So, other thoughts that you have kind of on the first half. That first half performance is pretty good. Getting in the second half, though, we kind of broke down a little bit, I think.
What's interesting to me is, once again, we won the gain line battle. Like, just looking at the stats here, we 73% gain line, and they had 67% meters. We actually outran them. Kick meters, we outkicked them.
Yeah.
They had 23 turnovers. That's pretty terrible.
That was. You got that to me, like when you got that to me, like
right.
I was getting ready to say 23 turnovers. We had 18, which is also really terrible. Like, in a match where you have, what was it? I think I wanted to go back and look at set pieces, the total number of set pieces that were done. I missed it.
Yeah,
but if you think about it,
more than like 2/3 of the game.
Yeah. There were, I mean, if you look at turnovers, so 23, that's 51. I'm sorry, 41 turnovers in a match. I think there were, let's see, I can pull it here real quick. Set pieces, scrums, there were 19 scrums.
Ooh.
Oh, no, sorry, 23 total scrums. 23 total scrums, and how many lineouts? 18 and 20 and 23 lineouts. So there were 46 set pieces in the match on Saturday. That's a lot of set pieces. That's a lot of forwards.
That's not a game. That's not a game you show to people that haven't watched rugby before.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah. I was going to say though, I think the biggest obviously glaring deficiency though is the 15 penalties, and NOLA committed 4. I think that, we're lucky to get out of there with a win. But I think that even having won the game, that's an area we have to be, we got to take that trash out now before it starts really stinking and we lose. I think that sometimes stuff like that can go overlooked. I don't think that Mark and Sam will let that slide, though. I think that's just that's going to lose you games.
Yeah, and it did against, with the penalties and stuff and the knock-ons, the ball handling errors that we had have hurt us, right? They hurt us in the game against Utah. They hurt us in the game against San Diego. It's just a little bit of grease on the ball, it seems like, like it's not something that works well. obviously second half, we go probably 20 something minutes into the second half with, we kicked one penalty, excuse me. We, had one penalty goal, and really that was about it. Like it was, at 13-3, the game was then stagnant. Like it was pretty boring. Like I'm watching it going, okay, come on, something happened. Like you had glimpses of, something could happen, and then a knock on or a penalty or hands in the ruck or something was happening. It was a little bit rough, and then it felt like NOLA, once Youngert was taken out, I think, which him calling Hugh Roach numbnuts was one of the funniest things. The vulgarities of MLR numbnuts is that what we're reduced to now, guys? Come on.
Yeah.
But Hugh, to all his credit, he was being a little salty, which I appreciate. That's why I like having Hugh in there.
He's prickly.
He's prickly. I like that. He had a monster hit. Like go back there's a hit in the first half. He absolutely laid out their 7. Guerra, I think it was Andy Guerra or Andrew Guerra.
I can't remember that one. I remember actually when they scored late, Don Bailey absolutely clattered. Some guy.
Yeah, I don't know who. I remember seeing it. I'll go back and try to find it. We'll post it. But yeah, that was one of those things where, man, like some big hits. I appreciate those big hits. Yeah. And good on you, Hugh. Good on you, Dom. McLean Jones had a pretty big hit too that I can't remember in the second half. Anyway, so NOLA comes back once Stevens kind of came in. International scrum half from Namibia. He kind of changed the game a little bit, and he got him playing a little bit more looser, and a tackle offload that Cam Dolan had gave an advantage, got to swing out wide, and basically that and an easy try kind of up the middle put NOLA in a position where we're sitting there at 15 or at I just had a brain fart. 15-13, going, oh crap, here we go. We get a penalty in the 76th minute and are able to kind of march down the field and did pretty well. I think one of the big things for me, in those final plays, as one, we had the line out. I know Mason Cook came in. He had 2 kind of errant throws. And it happens. I mean, he's young. You can't have a player of the an MLR player of the week match every week. And I think the lineout throws kind of hurt him a little bit this week. But they were able to corral the ball in. They were able to get it out wide. Finally, they got some space, and we had a penalty right in front of the post. And then we had penalty advantage. And then the one thing that you, Alex Rees, hate more than anything else. The crossfield kick.
All right. It was at least he didn't kick it from the 5. It wasn't when we were 5 meters out. I
wanted to point that out. For those of you listening and watching, as soon as that happened in the match, I sent Alex a message. I texted him and said, of all things to win the game on, your least favorite thing. So Alex doesn't like the crossfield kick. He doesn't like it when it's 5 meters out. I agree with him on that one.
Let me clarify. I do play fly off, and I do like doing
crossfield kick.
Crossfield kick. I just don't love it when you're 2 meters away from the try line and then you do it.
Well,
Roderick made an unbelievable grab on that because that was an awkward bounce.
Yeah, it bounced. It was a short hop. If you're a baseball player, it basically short hopped Roderick, and he was able to snag it and touch it down flawlessly.
Right. And you know what I think is impressive too is he grabbed it with his hands instead of letting it come all the way into his body, which gave him the opportunity to dot it down instead of getting rolled out with it, not be able to get downward pressure or like landing out of bounds or whatever. That was really awesome work from Rod.
Yeah. This week's Gold Glove Award goes to Rod Wall. Another baseball reference. But
so after 5 games of no tries last year, Roderick's got 2 6. His first 6 games no tries, and now he's got 2 in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
so I think the floodgates are open.
Let's hope that's true. But yeah, I think all credit to Mac Mason. One, we were right. People were like, oh, they would we wouldn't have got that, they wouldn't have won. Like we had penalty advantage right in front of the post.
Yeah.
We could have kicked like for 3 and 1.
Right.
It wouldn't have been an issue. But you got to give Mac Mason credit, man. Pinpoint accuracy. Like that was a peach, as they call it. That was a beautiful little slot down there. So Rod tried it down. Conversion was no good at the end, but by that time the horn had blown. It didn't matter. 18-15, AG's win. Couple things to note. Injuries. Sebastian de Chavez went out in the 26th minute. I have talked with Sebastian. He is doing all right. Hopefully he'll be back this week, so that's good. And then Christian Osberg went out. The feel, the humidity down there just kind of got to people. So Christian says that he's good too. So hopefully here soon he'll be back on. And then we go into the week. I don't know if anybody else got injured in the match. Somebody almost got injured in the match, and that's Will McGee in that tackle, that clean out. While I did make the post that says that was illegal, should have been yellow card, should at least have been a penalty for sure. Well, I said yellow card, could have been red. I did ask a couple referees who can be named, remain anonymous. I did. There was quite a few referees, so it's like 3 or 4. Some said yes, it could have been yellow on the clean out. Some said technically he didn't go beyond horizontal, and I was like, oh, pretty damn close. I looked at rule 10.4J, whatever it is, and made the assessment, and he came down on his head and his neck. I've seen it given for yellow, so in Super Rugby and stuff, and it's scary.
Yeah, it reminded me of not as bad. It reminded me of when it was like 2018. The U.S. played the Maori All Blacks, and Potty Parkinson on Maori All Blacks lifted up John Davies and slammed him down onto his head and back. It was more malicious, or not malicious, more aggressive than the one on Will McGee. But ultimately, I think that, like, from what I heard, that Sean Davies never really recovered from that hit because it just kind of gave him spinal issues for the rest of his playing career, which ended up ending relatively early.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's only like 29 or 30.
Yeah. And it's just got to be careful. It's part of the game. The fact that nobody picked it up, right? And the fact that it did happen, and every ref that I said it should have at least been a penalty, period. Like there was no question. Yellow, maybe, probably not red. We don't have a TMO, so we can't go back and look at it. But it's something that it's one of those situations, and it happened in other games this week too, where there were injuries, like the injury to was it JP? Is it JP Eloff for Seattle that got hurt? I think.
No, JP Smith.
Not JP Smith. Sorry. JP Eloff is the one who's injured for NOLA, Alex. We were talking beforehand. That's who I forgot. But yeah, so JP Smith, that was dangerous play. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that one. We won't worry about it. We won. We're going, first winning streak since 2018. So that's kind of exciting. That's 2 in a row for us. And big matchup this weekend with Rugby ATL. And you've got some vested interest in this, yeah?
Yeah.
Little brother,
Ryan. Man. Yeah, he'll be coming into town. Probably coming in off the bench for ATL.
Nice.
I think honestly, luckily for the AGs, he's not starting. I think.
That's it. He played well last game.
Yeah, they put him on. They were already down 24-7 when he came in and finished 27-17, but not enough time.
Yeah, no, it's good. If you look at the leaderboard, basically, obviously the Giltinis 3-0. They had a bye week, 2 weeks ago, an early bye week. It was I was kind of surprised by that, but they've got 15 points, sitting second place overall in the entire league. None other than your very own AGs.
And we could very, very easily be 4-0.
Oh, absolutely. We could barely be 4-0, and we would be sitting atop the league right now with those points, because we would bonus point, tries and the win in the first match would put us over the mark. put it at the mark. Rugby ATL, so obviously everybody, Austin and Rugby ATL, both 2-2 on the season. I think one of the big things you look at points for, points against. Rugby ATL, they've got their point differentiation. They give up almost as much as they score, which is one of the reasons why they're 2-2. I think for us, we've got about a 24-point differentiation, which is good. We score more than we give up, but we've only given up 59 points the entire year. That's the Free Jacks are close. They've given up 63 and LA's given up 69. But, I think it's one of those things where out of all the teams, Austin has the most bonus points, which is great. Bonus points matter. I don't care any points. Again, it's going to be a close season, right? It's not going to be, I think as LA continues to play, they're going to get in more and more injuries. You're already starting to see it with Billy Meeks and some other people who are out. So I think it's going to be careful on that one. You look at overall attack and defense for Austin and Atlanta, it's pretty even. We both average around 44 to 48% on possession. The territory is exactly the same. We both, we tend to actually have more attacking minutes than Atlanta does, which is kind of surprising given the fact that we don't have a lot of minutes of attacking.
Yeah.
Defending minutes, Atlanta tends to defend a lot, which could bode well for us. If we can control the ball, control the play, style of play, I think that it's one of those things where we could see more attacking in this match than we have in previous matches. We still do have the number 1 defense in the league, but Atlanta is the number 4 defense in the league too. So that's something to behold. Is anybody for Atlanta that you can think that, as far as who you kind of look at besides your brother, threats for Atlanta as we kind of move forward and people we should kind of keep an eye out, who we think may have a big game for us?
Yeah, I mean, a guy that's really coming on for Atlanta is Jason Dam. He's started the year off on the bench, and then he's just was like a super impact sub. And then they actually started him against New York last week, and he had a great game. And then I know, I'm often they're definitely a defensive team.
Yeah.
We probably got one of the best organized line speeds year in and year out of anybody in the league. Offensively, last year I think they were a little bit creatively challenged, and this year I'm seeing a lot more out of them. I just don't know. Not super familiar with their names, but there's a Kiwi that plays fullback and sometimes plays at 13 with a long name. That's really, really good. Just really good line runner.
Batista
I can't remember.
Escurza is one of them. Batista Escurza, I forget where he plays.
He's been playing fly half. He'll probably play fly half again, but he's a center from the Jaguares.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's kind of a hothead.
He averages 82, meters per ball carry meters per match. So that's pretty solid. And of course, about a line break a match. So it's one of those people you got to you've got to tackle and make sure you tackle him, because I think on here the stats I was looking at stats, and he's got about 4.5 tackle breaks a match. And as a fly half, you cannot let a fly half get 4 or 5 tackle breaks a match.
Right.
I know you break about 4 or 5 tackles a match, but
4 or 5 in a season.
What's that, 4 or 5 in a season? Oh, come on, Alex. I think for us, if we continue to play our hard-nosed defense, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good match. It's the Rock the Ages night, so that's kind of exciting, right? We're gonna rock it out. So, if you go to the match and you dress up as your favorite 80s rocker, you get in free.
Oh,
come
nice.
on, man. Yeah, right. Get in. Get your tickets for free if you dress up. One of the great things that is going on before the match is for all the next 4 home matches, we're having youth flag rugby matches. Man, that's nice. Really cool. Promoting the sport. Even if your kids have never played, you can go out and play. That's awesome. One big news that we do need to talk about the AGs, and I do mean big news. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, big man.
Yeah, go for it. You want to give the announcement?
The 8-cap New Zealand All Black second rower Isaac Ross going to be joining.
Finally,
joining the team. There's been rumblings about him coming over since last summer, and now it's finally coming to fruition. And I think, in the same vein as Jamie McIntosh, you're bringing not only another excellent player, but almost another excellent coach over to the team, which is going to be invaluable for us moving forward.
Yeah, and again, you talk about him. He's 6'7", 256, and him with Sebastian de Chavez. Somebody said it on social media. They're like, that second row for the AGs when they're all healthy. You're 6'8", 6'7", 6'7", 6'6", 6'6", and 6'5".
Yeah,
like, crazy. And then poor Michael de Waal when he's had to fill in at 6 foot, 6'1". We'll talk about that in a little bit with Michael. So, but no, I think obviously Isaac Ross has so much experience. He's a heck of a player. He's going to be good on the line out. He's been playing over in Japan. It'll be good. I'm excited. I hope he gets. Man, I hope he starts. I hope he and Sebastian get a chance to lock down together. And I think it's going to be again with Cam Dotson and Regan O'Gorman and of course Christian Osberg, making sure that everybody's as healthy. That's a powerhouse lineup. Regan played well last game. Coming in. Obviously. For injury for Christian and Sebastian going out early in the game. Regan and Michael de Waal both had a great game in second row. Yeah. We did not lose a scrum all game. And that's phenomenal going up against one of
one of
the best scrums in the league, period. So there we go, man. It's gonna be an exciting weekend. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna chat with Mr. Michael de Waal. Stay tuned. Austin Rugby fans, you've got to be excited right now for the way the team's playing, the way that things are going. It is, I tell everybody that's watching or listening that picked NOLA over the AGs last week to kiss my you-know-what. We joked around about it. We played great. The team has been playing great, and it hasn't just been all of the seasoned veterans that have been playing great. We have countless number of rookies that have made their MLR debuts this year. We talk about, Mason Cook, obviously, we had him on the podcast and we talked to him about, coming straight out of Dartmouth and playing. We talked, we've got Cam Dotson, who we haven't had on the show yet, but we will for sure, who's got first cap in the first couple of games and then got injured. Obviously, Connor Mooneyham, who was on the show, really enjoyed talking with him. Louis Satama, they're all new players that have come in this year who are rookies, but we actually have one other rookie who has been putting in the minutes. And when I say putting in the minutes, 3 games, 80 minutes. Maybe even like in the fourth game, I think maybe got in a little bit too. Or in the first game of the season, got in a little bit, but has been constantly playing on the team. He actually joined the team last year, but unfortunately could not play because of injury. But we've been happy that he's been playing so far this season because he's been playing lights out. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Michael de Waal. Michael, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Dustin, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So you're technically a rookie. You came here last year. You and Wes White came in, and from Lindenwood, a storied rugby program up there. You played 15s, you played 7s. You had actually, if we'd have had this MLR draft last season, I'm wondering where you would have gone in the draft. Where do you think you would have gone, man? Number 1, number 2?
Hope to say it in the top few, but you never know. It's a thing to be drafted. It's not something I'm used to. So
it's a new thing for rugby around the world. Yeah. It's not the draft is very American. It's very it's very US oriented.
I think it adds a good vibe to the collegiate aspects of the MLR.
Yeah, I think it's people more excited about collegiate rugby now too, and so that'll be really good. Well, we'll get into talking about that. Let's kick it off right now, man. You've been putting in the minutes. Do you know how many continuous minutes you've been on the pitch this season? So is it three games and 80 minutes in each game so far?
Yeah, and then 40 minutes in the first game. So
okay, so
80 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about soreness. Let's talk about any muscle fatigue. What do you got going on, man? How those ice baths and recovery boots working for you right now?
Yeah, they're definitely helping. I think with the resources we get at the team, it's just making use of all of that, and definitely like after the game on a Sunday, we'll be struggling, especially after like a travel weekend. But getting through Tuesday is the hardest part, but then it's downhill from there, just getting your body at 100% before the next game. Feeling pretty good, so can't complain.
Yes, we won't complain, especially with the number of injuries that we've had throughout the season so far. Man, it's been, but I tell you what, I can say this, we had, you filled in, not just, you play 8, you play mostly in the loose forwards, but because of the injury we had in the second row, and especially last week, you stepped in right away. Well, I guess first game of the season, you stepped in second row, and you've got yourself, and then you've got the towering monster that is Sebastian de Chavez packing down together. What was that like? And had you practiced that in training before the first time you actually had to pack down?
And initially, it was obviously a bit of a shock. It's not something I've really done before coming in here. But I think with all that experience next to you, it's pretty easy to learn. And then other than the scrums and everything like that, it's just playing the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, sitting next to Sebastian and probably being a good head and a half taller than me, it is a bit on the uncomfortable side, but I think having those great players around you, that definitely does help, making it a bit easier.
And then obviously, you talk about, past couple of weeks, we've had kind of different combinations of loose forwards between Mo and Dom Aquina, and then you and Don Bailey and McLean Jones. Like the 5 of you really have just been rotating around, it seems like. And and forgive me if I'm blanking on if there's anybody else, but I'm pretty sure that's all the loose forwards that have been in there. But it seems as though you guys are pretty interchangeable. Do you guys feel pretty comfortable like slotting in if you needed to? If for some reason you wanted to go play 6 and somebody else wanted to play 8, and you wanted to move to to weak side. I don't know. Like, how does that work out in practice? Like, is it something like coach just rotates everybody around, like one person in, one person out, and you just rotate in a circle who gets to play each one of the positions?
It's definitely something you can really control. It's like injuries and something like that. So we do try to mix it around a bit, train in different spots, just if this happens or that happens. But yeah, I think putting on the extra work off the field, just getting to know all those other roles that you should be able to play, definitely helps.
Are you stepping at hooker at all any right now, just in case, like as a backup? Come on, if you can pack down with Sebastian de Chavez, you could probably pack down next to Wapa and Patty Ryan, right?
Yeah, maybe that might be the next move.
Maybe the next move. Hey, it's the more versatile the player, the more more dynamic and opportunity you get to play constantly. Another 80 minutes going up this season. So good stuff.
They definitely prefer the back row, but I think with the team we have and just making sure we put the best foot forward every game, like getting in there I feel comfortable to do so. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so let's kind of walk through your career. You're from South Africa, born and raised. When did you come over to the United States to start school?
So I came here January 2017 to start at Lindenwood. Before that, I went to high school in Pretoria Woods High School, and then went to Stellenbosch University, as well as played Western Province age group levels. But then 2017 came to Lindenwood, was there for 3 years until December 2019. Since then moved every year, and it's kind of been all over the place, but definitely been coming to the US has definitely been a big enjoyment of the sport. I think in South Africa there's a lot of like external things that come into play, makes you not struggle to enjoy the game. You can really see a love for the game, especially through all the rugby enthusiasts. There's really a big support in that small community between all the supporters, and it really makes you enjoy playing again, or playing the game and being involved wherever you can. Yeah.
Nice. What was the draw, I guess, to come to Lindenwood? Obviously the United States, 2017, we're not really, MLR is just about to kick off. What was the draw to leave South Africa and come to a college in the United States to play rugby over here? Or was it for schooling to start off with and rugby was just an added benefit?
Yeah, so I wanted to study and play at the same time. It's really tough in South Africa to do that, or at least do so at a higher level. Mm-hmm. And then when I kind of just dangled with the idea of maybe coming here to complete my studies and playing, because I knew back then it was kind of starting off that, okay, there might be a league, or the league might be growing with pro rugby and things like that. And then when I applied to a couple of universities and got in, and then I think with Lindenwood being one of the better mm-hmm. rugby universities, and with scholarships and everything included, it was definitely my best option to go to, and with the degree I wanted to study as well. So I think that kind of drew me, and I spoke to a couple of guys that I knew that already came to study here. I don't know if you know Nico Kruger, also went to my high school back home.
Nice.
So had a family relationship with him, and kind of spoke to him about that experience, and he said it's definitely not a mistake, and he really enjoyed it. So, and he's still here, enjoying his life. But yeah, I think things like that made me decide. I think it might be the right choice to come and explore the new horizons.
Yeah, there you go. So you come to Lindenwood, you play, obviously, you won accolades won there, tournaments won, trophies won. What was that like? Talk to us about kind of the team that you had at Lindenwood whilst you were there.
Well, it was, I think, a lot of great athletes. I think you can see a lot of them all over the MLR already. Great people too, great friends of mine, and I think the university and the program and the coaches are really involved. I think Josh Macy and them are really interested in growing the sport, especially in the young community in St. Charles. You see so many kids every year just increasing and just playing the game. But yeah, it was really fun, especially winning sevens tournaments more specifically. But pretty disappointed we didn't win more 15s nationals, but
I didn't bring it in. That's what I said. I just trophies, sevens, 50.
Well, definitely was.
You got a couple big teams that you're going up against within the 15s too. So yeah, that's a.
I do think we had the team and the personnel to win those nationals too. Just didn't win the important games we needed to, but it was a great experience. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then obviously, so you talk about December 2019. What's the phone call? Who calls you to say, hey, do you want to come down to Austin, Texas, in the ridiculous heat, to come down here and play some rugby for a living?
So initially I was up in Chicago over the summer 2019, and kind of spoke to Drew and taught them just of what the experience would be like here. Obviously then, looking at the MLR, Austin was not the biggest interest, because I obviously saw something, maybe things are not right down here, but it was definitely a place I would wanted to move to compared to other teams. And I'm speaking to Drew, and then they say they really wanted to make a difference. And initially it was a big step for me, but it was really a place I wanted to move down, and just really had nothing to lose and give it a try. So it was definitely a good choice to come here.
Nice. Well, that's good. And then, we talked about it briefly before. You and Wes White both came down. Obviously, Wes went back and now playing, in the academy for the sevens team in South Africa. What was it like to come down here originally with like a buddy from high school or a buddy from college to just to come play rugby and hang out together and enjoy Austin?
Yeah, it definitely made things easier, of more of a better experience, just coming down with a good friend. Like Wes is also a really great player, and it would have been fun to just come here and play and enjoy the league with him. Obviously, it was personal things and everything changed for him to leave. But it was, but yeah, it was still that short period of time was definitely like just a great experience coming down.
Yeah.
And
well, it's good. It's nice to hear. That's always fun. It was, however, unfortunate that was it training and did you break your foot, or what was the injury that you had that you were in a giant boot for, a great portion of the season?
I tore my Lisfranc ligament. It's just a ligament holding your two bones together, which could be pretty serious because the blood flow is not very good there to actually regrow that ligament.
Yeah.
I went home for surgery, and the doctor there was really good, and he knew quite a bit of this specific injury. And I was supposed to start playing like after, I think, the 6th week last year.
Yeah.
And or
I think you and Dom Bailey both had like the same timeline. Like Dom was like the next week after, and like you were like the week after that. So we started seeing all you guys start coming on, but obviously COVID hit. You decide to stay. Obviously, Coach Harris gave you a call and said, here's what we're going to do. We want to see you part of the team. Talk to us a little bit about, obviously you're South African. He's Australian. There's always, South African, Australia, New Zealand, all from the Tri-Nations. Well, I guess rugby championship with Argentina and stuff at the time. What was it like to say, I'm going to go play for an Australian coach now? So he would have been like a Kiwi coach and an Australian coach. What's that?
Yeah, I think it was tough because you can't always trust an Australian.
You do know Coach Harris listens regularly to the podcast.
I think I know with me not playing last year and didn't really have much to go on and just backing me all the way. So it was good to see that, giving me the call and just giving me the open idea of just being involved and doing everything I can. And so it definitely made it easy just to where I'm going. So definitely so far those Australians you can trust. So
well, we'll make sure that he remembers and knows that going forward. So well, I think this season it's been, honestly, for Austin fans, you look at it and you look at the board, and we're 2-2. We've lost by a combined 5 points. Right? Yeah, 5. I do the math right there. I think it's 5. Yeah, 5 points. Something ridiculous low. You have the number 1 defense in the league. You are a major contributor to that as well. Tell us kind of how you're feeling about the season so far. How you feel about, obviously the game coming up here against Atlanta this weekend, and kind of the excitement going around the stadium. Obviously, we're not full capacity 5,000 people. God, I can't wait for that day, and I can't wait for 5,000 people to be in the stadium cheering you guys on. I just want to point that out too. But talk to us about how you're feeling about the season. And everybody's kind of got their own thoughts and your overall play, and how you feel you've been playing for the past couple for the entire season so far.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the start of the season it's obviously difficult because I know a lot of people haven't actually played that much rugby in such a long time. So I think like smaller things like finishing our opportunities, or especially the first couple of games were pretty disappointing with those narrow losses, which I think we definitely could have put away if we just took some more opportunities. But there's a lot of positive coming out of those games into the next games. Making our defense has been really good. It makes it easy when you have guys next to you that is gonna be in that tackle the whole time. And then coming out with back-to-back wins, I think it's big for the team and everyone's confidence, which is good. I think good for the team morale and everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
We're definitely not our best games either, but I think we're definitely building on that. And if our team comes together, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good season coming ahead.
Yeah.
And in terms of my own play, it's obviously been a slow start, getting better by each game. Is one thing, just changing roles does change pretty much a bit of every game. Just settling into one specific role. But I think we've started with or at least starting to get to know each other as players a bit better, and which makes it quite a bit easier. And hopefully we keep building on from there. And it's definitely going to be a good season then.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that, you mentioned just briefly a minute ago that, they maybe not been the best game. One of the things that has been a standout, obviously, has been your team defense. I mean, we have the number one team defense in the league, and this is pretty. It's an interesting dichotomy when you have the Giltinis with the number one offense and the Gilgronians with the number one defense. AGs, whatever. I don't. Everybody. We'll just call it. We'll be fine with that. Nobody cares. But what do you guys attribute to having that solid defense that you guys are working together that you've built really and shut down teams who NOLA is they're a scoring powerhouse. People are like, oh, NOLA knocked the ball on a lot. My personal opinion is it was the pressure defense and you guys attacking that gain line and pushing them back that caused that. How is that in practice, and how is that for you guys? Have you built upon that to get better and better and better each week?
I think we really trust our defensive system that Coach Sam has put into place, and I think bigger than that, just trusting each other, having that attitude of actually just making sure to make all those tackles. I think defense is not something you can, on a personal level, just teach. I think it's a lot of big thing of it would be attitude and being in the right mindset to, if you're on defense, to trust your defense and making sure you make those tackles. And we really have guys that can do that, like Don Bailey, or basically all the loose forwards, Sebastian, or almost our whole team.
You start naming names,
putting in all those hits, it definitely makes it easy, and trusting our defensive system makes it a lot pretty good. And I think we really feel comfortable on defense. Sometimes I would say too comfortable that we don't have to worry about defending, and I think we can keep the ball a bit more in those situations.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, as we get close to wrapping up time here, I want to I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions that you may or may not be ready for. Somewhat related to the game and somewhat related to other things. So obviously, big thing that we've got coming up over the next four home games. Have youth rugby coming up and flag. We'll call it flag rugby. So in America they have flag football. If you weren't playing rugby, which other sport would you want to play? I know what you're going to say. Baseball. Really, it wouldn't be golf. I hear you're an avid golfer. I mean, Will McGee says he's so much better than you are.
Will is a good player, very consistent.
He never said that you're bad. I'm just giving you taking the piss.
Between baseball and golf, I think.
Did you play baseball at all in college or in high school?
But it's definitely a sport I would love to have try playing. I really enjoy watching it too.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So we got that one. Always before each one of the AG matches, there's always a band or a solo artist playing. We've got what's her name? Emily Wolf is playing this week. There's a costume contest for Rock of AG's night this weekend, which is if you dress up in costume you get in for free, so that's pretty cool. As far as rock and roll goes, who's your favorite rock artist of all time?
I'm not the biggest music person, but
tough one.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one. Maybe Led Zeppelin.
That's a solid answer. I'll take Led Zeppelin.
I think you'll have to go with one of the more iconic names.
There you go. It's because it's an easy win for it. So.
Yeah.
Obviously rugby is not played year round. You have other ventures. What is the best biltong in the entire world, and where can people find it? This was also for your chance to plug your own biltong that you make out of your house.
Definitely in the US, I would say the Rangers Biltong found locally here in my house.
But, hopefully coming soon to a store near you, Rangers Biltong. We'll promote that.
But other than that, I would say any local butchery in South Africa has always got
okay,
the right
so nobody here in the U.S. makes biltong like you do. Okay, well, that's good to know. So you heard it right here on the podcast. Hopefully soon at an HEB near you will be Rangers Biltong, done by not only Mr. de Waal here, but also Mr. Robbie Coetzee. So they've been kind of working together on this. Robbie says that he's not allowed to cure anything in his house anymore at all because it drips everywhere. Is your house a mess because of all the curing that you're doing?
No, I've got like a separate or like me and Robbie actually built like a whole cabinet thing that's pretty well suited for it, and it makes things a little easier.
Got to keep the house clean, man. So, well, hey, to wrap things up, I'll always let people kind of say hey to whoever they want to say hey to. So, as we close out here, is anybody you want to say shout out to, say hello, tell them to come to the game? Any last words of wisdom for anybody listening and watching?
No, definitely. I think just shout out to all the Austin supporters. I think this weekend is going to be a big one. A lot of my hometown friends playing against that's actually playing in Atlanta. So it will be a big game for us, and I think definitely keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, hey, Michael, really appreciate you coming on. Couldn't talk there for a second. That's all right. Look forward to, what is it? Another 80 minutes this week, you think? You got it in you? Got enough gas in the tank? All right, man. All right. Hey, this Saturday, I think what's the doors open? It's 5:30. I think game's at 7. It should be 7 o'clock. Yeah. KBVO, if you're watching, if you're not even in Austin, you can still watch it on the Rugby Network. I'd like to thank Michael de Waal for joining us on the podcast. Michael, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Dustin. I appreciate it for having me.
Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Welcome back, everybody. Really appreciate you sticking with us. There's so much to talk about, right? Rugby is just nonstop in Austin right now. It's fantastic. Club teams are back playing. We'll talk about that in a minute. AG's second in the league, second in the West, looking to keep rocking and rolling. Rock of AG's weekend this weekend at Bold Stadium. Kickoff is 7 o'clock. That's always exciting. We want to touch base again. We talked about it last week, and there's news just flowing out. And I've been in contact with the leadership group, kind of with the Austin Armadillos, so the rugby league team. Remember, if you didn't listen last week, there's a new rugby league, and I mean rugby league as in the code rugby league, different from rugby union, which is what the AGs play. So a new professional rugby league team playing in the NARL. That's the Austin Armadillos. Had a chance to sit down and chat a little bit with one of the leadership group that's working with them. Got some new information from them that we're going to kind of share with you. So there's been, there's been some posts on social media that they've had. There's posts on the NARL. There's a lot of stuff going on with them. They're getting ready to start the season in beginning of June or second weekend of June, I think, is when they're happening. But if you're a player or somebody that's interested, and this goes to really any athlete, their goal for the NARL is to do a little bit like what the crossover is doing in Colorado, and to get those former football players, those former guys that are wrestlers who want to continue to play sports, who can play at a high level, really just any top level athlete that wants to give a shot at rugby. They are going to be doing tryouts in Las Vegas May 15th and 16th. Their top level contracts. This is a very surprising and probably news for everybody who's listening, since this podcast is the first podcast ever to cover anything about the NARL. Congratulations, Alex. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, get it, son. But their top level contracts are going up for about $20,000 per contract, which I don't know how that compares to MLR, but that's not too bad from what I understand. Again, a new league to get paid $20,000 for basically part of the year work to go play a little bit of rugby. you can go to any of the West Coast Club websites to fill out a player registration form. And then this coming week, there's going to be a whole lot of news and information coming out on coaching and player signings for all the West Coast teams. Now, Alex, you may be asking yourself, why all of the West Coast teams?
Why all of the West Coast teams?
Thanks, Alex. That was me pitching it to you. So all of the West Coast teams are currently under what's basically a local ownership until 2021. So the ownership model that they're having for the Western Conference for the NARL is similar to the MLS and how it's been structured. So the owners buy into where owners kind of buy into this main company, the NARL, the Western Conference of the NARL, and then they are assigned management group that they currently have will hand the teams and team controls over to those people, and it's kind of part of an entire league, right? So it's everybody's buying into the league, which is kind of a little bit like how MLR is structured. Like you buy into the league, you pay to get into the league. These owners are doing the same thing. The Western Conference, really, all the teams in the Western Conference are currently under one house, basically. So it's a house of brands, if you will. And that's pretty exciting. And so as the years continue to go, they've already got interest in every city for potential new owners. The current ownership group will then be assigned management until a suitable candidate can be found. So if you're, right now, one management group is managing all the different teams in the West Coast, from San Francisco to San Diego to Austin to Portland, Phoenix, and I forgot where the other ones are now too. Crap. I'll remember that and go back and look at it again. Sorry, guys. But those are kind of the big ones, the big areas right now. But so basically, that ownership group owns all of the Western Conference NARL teams, and I'm okay with that. Like it gives a good start to the league. You get a year under your belt. You get teams. You get your coach. You get everything you need. You get a leadership group, a management group that's kind of doing the right by everyone else. Due to COVID, they are going to be starting 2021 season as that one group. Everybody is going to be in Las Vegas. All Western Conference matches are played in Las Vegas. I don't know about the Eastern Conference matches. I think more information is coming out about that soon. And then in 2022, each team will then be moved into their respective markets. So by 2022, we will have two professional rugby teams, in Austin.
I'm curious if they'll play at Bold Stadium as well.
I don't know. It would be interesting. I kind of would like to see it happen. I kind of would like to see a partnership with the AGs and the rugby league team, and the Dillos. I think it's something that Mark played rugby league. Sam Harris played rugby league, as we talked about. A lot of guys have played rugby league before. The seasons overlap a little bit, though, I think. So I don't think we'd ever see AG players playing for the Dillos. I do know of some former MLR players or MLR players who aren't under contract right now who have been approached by NARL teams, which is pretty exciting. That's just a quality level. Like guys who have played, it's pretty cool to see they're doing that. Right now, they're working through everything. One of the exciting things they can announce, again, a first here from the Austin Rugby Podcast to all of the wonderful NARL and rugby league listeners around the world. Macron is the official jersey sponsor of the NARL. If you're not familiar with Macron, they are the ones who do Italy's jerseys, which are always classy. I do appreciate those. I don't know if they do where else they do jerseys for, but right off the top of my head, but they may be big in the rugby league field. So that's the news we got coming out of the NARL right now. We'll continue to cover it. We'll continue to try to get the ownership group on, and once we know players and coaches and stuff, we'll have them on too. Like that'll change it up a little bit, right? Like, again, Austin Rugby Podcast. Don't really dictate what code it is. So
hey. Can't say that we weren't with them from the start.
Yeah, right. We were the first. That's good. So that's what we got for rugby league news. In other exciting local news, Alex, I'm going to let you throw this one out. It's a big week.
It is. It is Derby Day for Austin, Texas. We have Austin Huns taking on the Austin Blacks. In years gone past, it would be D1 versus D1, D2 versus D2, and D3 versus D3. So it'd be a 3-game slate, but with COVID and not everybody returning to play as quickly, it's just going to be 2 games, D1 and D2. It'll be the first time I've played in a live rugby match against another team since last year against the Blacks, when I did fracture my leg, but
I didn't know if you were going to throw that out there. I was like, oh yeah, I fractured my leg in that match.
Like 8 minutes in, so that was
man. Oh, poor guy.
The game. But yeah, and then also the Austin Valkyries are hoping to host a tournament. Like I mentioned earlier, they went up to Dallas and swept the Dallas tournament against the North teams, and then I guess must have scared off the South teams. Yeah, the South teams are all supposed to come down to Austin for the tournament, and as of now, the Valkyries are the only team signed up. So that's a little disappointing, and hopefully maybe there's just some last-minute hurdles teams have to jump through to sign up. But if everything goes to plan, we'll have Huns Youth Rugby in the morning at Nixon Lane, followed by the Huns Blacks, and then Valkyries. And then hopefully everyone will head over to Bold Stadium.
Man, that's a day full of amazing rugby in Austin. 9 to 12 on the youth Huns Youth. If you're listening and watching, it'll be good times. Looking forward to that. Man, Blacks and Huns is always a great game. Like last year, I mean the games were close. So, I think. I am the middleman. I am the outsider. I'm not a part of either team, so I can give my unbiased opinion. I felt as though last year, from the previous years, like I really saw the big improvement from the Huns, and getting back up to the level that they were, leading up to the elite days. And then, I again, you guys had the lead for most of the matches in some of those, and just kind of lost it at the end. But I think after watching both teams play rugby HTX, the controversy that is the Blacks HTX game. Oh my goodness! Oh,
was wondering if you would touch it.
I don't know if I would have touched it. I've seen some potent posts on not even social media.
To be honest, it's really not even a controversy. If you watch the game, the Blacks clearly won.
Yeah, they flags went up, and somebody's like, "Oh, only one flag went up in both of them." I was like, I kind of saw both people raise their flags. Like, anyway, it's a friendly. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's a good game. Like they both played well. You guys went one. You guys split your series with HTX, I believe, as well. So it'll be. I think it'll be a good game. You guys have one more played game under your belts than the Blacks do, I think. So you guys have played 2 and they've played 1. Who knows? We may see more throughout the rest of the spring and into the summertime. Now that we're all trying to just get back to play. So I'm excited. What time's that kickoff for that D1 game?
I should know this.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
God, he plays.
Got our fingers up right now.
He plays and doesn't know what time it's done. Come on, guys. Yeah, but hey, maybe the Valks they can have an inter squad scrimmage or something if nobody else comes out to play.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. They've got like 20 players that want to play this weekend. So
play some 10s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good. Well, it's going to be an exciting week, right? Obviously a lot of stuff going on. Austin Rugby continues to thrive. There's more and more things that are happening constantly. You can see the changes that's happening in the community. We're just getting more people out to games. Hopefully, once more people get vaccinated and everything, I want to see the day, just like I said with Michael, I want to see the day where we get 5,000 people out to a match and just pack Bold Stadium. I want to see that travel going from the Derby match and just caravan down to tailgate outside where we don't have to worry about COVID and everything else and have a good time out on the pitch.
I think that our attendance is more than tripled previous.
Yeah, especially last year.
I think it's just people that are going. It feels like we're all kind of getting into a rhythm, and it helps that the team's playing better. Of
course,
that's almost just like that's what people are doing on the weekend. Like you go into the game, like it's big event. And the experience has been awesome, I think.
Yeah.
They've really
quality of play, experience, everything that's surrounding it, all the good things. And we haven't even had a supporters group tailgate. Like, that's the big thing. Like, people are asking me, it's like, man, we miss tailgates where, like when Zappa did a giant crawfish boil, we were out for, 3 hours ahead of time and drinking beers and having a good time, and doing a live show, a live pregame show that we haven't done at all this season. We were the first team to ever do that, by the way, the first supporters group. So it's exciting. We'll wrap it up on two things. I want you to let us know what your predictions. Let's get our predictions in for the game on Saturday. What's the score? I won't make you do a Huns Blacks prediction.
I'm going to go with the AGs. I think again, it's going to be a similar story to last week. I think we jump up early. But I don't think that it's ever going to be more than a 7-point buffer between the two teams. I think it's going to be really close all the way through. I don't want to, pick against family, but I can't not pick the AGs. I think that we're going to take it. I think this will be our one of our higher scoring games of the year, actually. I think we're going to win 27-24.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of going that way too. I think I think it's going to be a close game. I think the way the defense is played, like, they're both going to play well. I don't know if we're going to score that many points. I'm just kind of going off averages. So I'm going to go 25-20.
Okay.
That's going to be there's going to be a couple conversions, couple penalty goals. I think we're just going to pull out 25-20.
Actually, you know what? I got to check the weather. That's actually going to play a factor.
It's going to be 60. Kickoff time should be 64 and partly cloudy or mostly cloudy. It's going to be cooler. It's going to be a good. It's going to be a good rugby match. Yeah, dry. Well, it hasn't rained. It hasn't rained for the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I stand by my score.
Yeah, exactly. You got to change it up if it rains. I put it with our forward pack. Then I put that score way down. I think we get the ball out to Connor Mooneyham. I think Mooneyham gets his first try of the season this week.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he does. I think he breaks through. Yeah. Hey, Alex, did you know that yesterday was the official launch day of the Gilgroniac clothing line?
I did, and exciting. I got paid today. I can look into the store.
T-shirts, tank tops, and all the good things on the rugbyshop.com/Austin Supporters Group. I think it's Austin Supporters Group. Good stuff on there. The great thing about this, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. We're doing it. 100% of the proceeds go to We're Texas, the Just Keep Living Foundation, helping families and rugby families. To point out, this is a key thing, helping families and rugby families around Texas who are impacted by the winter weather. People are still hurting from that. We know some personally, and we our thoughts and prayers are with you. You can keep on working through it. There's a great thing. It's a great thing. Hey, somebody like, oh, it didn't have AG stuff on it. I was like, we did not want to put AG stuff on it because we did not want to infringe on copyrights. And we did get approval from the AGs. They are 100% supportive of this. They love the Gilgroniacs. It's good stuff. And also, if you can find it, I think it may be sold out, but you can go look for Mooneyshine out there for Connor Mooneyham's own moonshine. That's Mooneyshine. Yep. Stay tuned tomorrow. There may be another beverage that launches by the Gilgroniacs. So just stay tuned to social media. You never know what you're going to see on there. If you want to follow us on social media, go to Austin Rugby Supporters on Facebook and Instagram. Always good stuff, man. Love chatting rugby with you, Alex. It's going to be a big week. Hopefully we're sitting down again at the same time next week and talking about 3 wins in a row for the first time in Austin franchise history. Good stuff, yeah.
Let's get it done, boys.
Let's get it done. For Alex Rees, I'm Dustin Zerrer. Thanks for listening, watching the Austin Rugby Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you on the pitch.